Welcome to the Wood Work podcast. I'm your host, Paul from JCR Build in Liverpool. Please go to Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, wherever you listen. Leave me a 5-star review or a review. Not asked if it's not even 5-star. Once I get to 500 reviews, I will do a worldwide giveaway, and I'll make sure it's worth whoever wins his time and effort, and everyone's time and effort. Today we have a friend of mine on as a guest. We have Jason on from Little Garage Woodshop. I always say workshop every single time, even though I know it's woodshop. It's one of the funny things. There's a big sign directly behind over your shoulder as well that even says it. If you're not obviously watching, thanks for taking your time out to join us today, Jason.
No worries at all, Paul. No worries.
Good. Nice to see you again. Probably been a while since we spoke. For those that obviously do not know who you are, can you introduce yourself with the correct title of your social media page?
Of course I can. Yeah. So my name's Jason. I'm Little Garage Woodshop. It's just a little hobby woodshop that I started in my little garage. I've recently moved house, so it's no longer in a garage, but it's in a workshop that I've built to look like a garage.
That's right, because you've got it's like a double shed almost, isn't it? Type size, give or take. And
Yeah,
you've
that's
actually
right.
got old garage doors that you sourced off a local company or a reclaim yard or whoever, didn't you? And you've used them as your
Well,
workshop doors effectively, haven't you?
so almost. It's a 12 by 12 structure that I built at the end of my garden, and I did buy some. I picked up some double wooden side hung doors on Facebook Marketplace, but they were just too big, and I would have had. Well, they wouldn't have fit on. They were basically 12 foot in themselves. So I ended up passing them on to someone else that I know, and end up making my own ones, so that they actually tie in with the cladding of the rest of the workshop now as well.
Oh well, I've missed that bit on your social, but I mean, at least the thought was there that you tried to keep the garage theme sort of rolling forward to your new workshop.
Exactly that, and like you see from my logo, the general shape of it's hard to point in backwards behind me.
It always gets me as well. Yeah,
Yeah, I tried to keep that basic shape of the garage, and I think I've managed it pretty much. But you have certain restrictions, don't you, building in your garden with height, which means the pitch is not quite as high, but it's close.
It's one of those sort of funny things with boundaries, and it's got to be under a certain height, and it changes from like obviously area to what you can and can't do. So if you do want to build something in your garden, make sure you go and check out your local council, because otherwise there'll be some nosy arsehole neighbour that will just have it ripped down on your behalf.
Exactly that.
But talk about your sign, because obviously I just noticed your sign when we came live, just before we went live on the stream. And well, we're not live, but you know what I mean. So you've got this nice sort of like, well, can you just sort of describe it for those that can't see? And where's it from, or how did you make it exactly? Because it's a really nice sign, that is.
Yeah, so my dad has been an engraver all his life and has always had his own company, but a few years back he decided to sell his company and has now gone to work for a company called Fine Print in Lancing, down on the south coast of England. And one of the things they do is these sort of printed signs. So it's like I think like Corex, I think it's called. It's like a hard plastic foam board.
Yeah.
So it's nice and lightweight, and I can move it to wherever I need it. So it's in here today. This is where I normally have other pictures up, because this is where I work doing my day job. This will go on the back wall of my workshop with my tool wall around it. Is my plan.
Yeah, because it makes for. I mean, I tried doing like the green screen effect behind me for the podcast, and I found that every time I moved or whatever, it was causing too much interference. And I do, unfortunately, the way my setup is, I've got all the PCs and the printers there, and that's my YouTube backdrop for filming. But because it's like also the order bench at the minute and all the other things, and it's an absolute mess. But I say that makes a lovely backdrop, doesn't it? It's very. I mean, actually, that is. I mean, I don't know if I certainly would permanently mount it in your workshop. I'd make it keep it removable, because that's perfect for screen size and.
Well, I'm lucky in that he made me two, so this one can stay up here and come up and down, and the other one can go on the wall.
With being your dad, you just have to drop a subtle hint, and another one would appear anyway, won't it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. That it was Dad, do you think? And then a couple of weeks later, it appears. So I'm very lucky.
So one thing that caught my eye, I don't know, some time ago now, but I think I first came across you on social media. And I know we've spoke about it, but you made a paddleboard paddle,
Mm.
and I mean, it was an absolute amazing piece. It really was amazing. But it was also, if you sort of like just tell people how you went about it, and also not only that, I found the way that you bent the wood. I found that rather sort of ingenious. That will maybe lead us on to the next little bit as well.
Okay, yeah. So, yeah, as you say, I've made two actually now. Paddleboard paddles. Um, it was the first time I'd made anything quite as technical as that. That had to not only look good but function because I wanted it to be used. So it's a glue laminated paddle. So I made a form on an long old piece of MDF, I think it was, which I then took half a dozen really thin strips of Paulonia and red cedar, uh, glued them all up, and just I soaked them in the bath, and then gradually just
That was the
clamped them.
interesting bit in your bath.
Yes, well, there's not many long things you can fill with water, is there?
I know. I just thought that was amazing when you told me about that. You know how you had to soak. And the poor missus can't have a bath for 3 days because you're soaking bits of wood in the bath. You know what I mean?
That's it.
It just shows how you have to think outside the box. So and it shows you don't need a big steam bending machine to do something like this.
No, that's it. I would love to for the next one do it steam bent. I know Sam from Monkey Boy's workshop, he made one out of a bit of drain pipe and a
Exactly. Yeah.
wallpaper steamer. So simple to do. It's just having the time and inclination to actually get on and do it.
Yeah. It's one of those things that I mean, probably like most of us sort of that do. I mean, for me, obviously, it's from the YouTube video side, but for like the hobbyists and what have you, we all have a long list of things we want to do. I mean, my list of potential YouTube videos is it 40 or 50. I haven't got time to film 40 or 50 this year. I mean, they're just like build videos, not including all the other little 3D ones that'll go alongside it. But there's just, especially when it's not your full time job as well for someone like yourself,
Yeah,
there's only so many hours in the day, isn't there? So, are you going to spend an entire weekend making a steam bending machine?
this is it. Yeah, my workshop time tends to be between 40 minutes and an hour and a half a couple of times a week in an evening once the boy's in bed, So you have to make the time work for you when you're out there.
That's it. I mean, it's just, I mean, because you say, because obviously you sort of like, you can only maybe get like half the things cut it. Like, you might just get half the strips cut in one day. And then
That's it.
you have to go back a week later to then cut the next lot of strips.
Yeah.
And
And
as you try to bend the wood, you got like little battleships and ducks floating around in between. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, absolutely. And I think where so my workshop is in the garden, there's other houses around. I'm really conscious about the noise I make in the evening. So it's 7:30, 8 o'clock before I get out there. So I try not to use power tools after 8 o'clock, so that I'm just onto I can only really do finishing and hand cutting and things like that after
Well,
that.
that's it. I think, I mean, the same thing, but I mean, I can never quite remember. I mean, there's obviously is noise regulations for any area and what have you.
Yeah.
And again, they'll quite often, local, in my experience, because of the dogs, especially,
Yeah.
they change the rules to suit themselves.
Yeah, but to be honest, I don't know what the regulations are around here. It's just I want to get on with my neighbours.
Yeah,
I've got decent neighbours, and I want to be a decent neighbour.
yeah. Well, say, I mean, there's always going to be that time, but again, as you say, you don't want to be throwing up a plane of thickness at 10 o'clock at night because
No,
that just ain't cricket, that is it? Let's
no,
face it.
it
Do you know what
really
I mean?
isn't. Yeah.
But yeah, so the steam bending, because this weekend just gone, yeah, this week it was just this weekend, wasn't it? Because you are in fact one of the UK Rubio Monocoat ambassadors as well, haven't you? You have been for a few years now as well, haven't you?
Yes. Yes, that's right.
And you've just had one of the like yearly events that they sort of run of where all the ambassadors come together, build whatever it may be,
Yeah.
and then it gets sold off for their charity, I believe, as a
Yes,
general
that's right.
rule. Which I always forget what it is. It's some sort of African
It
school
is.
thing, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It is a school. I can't remember the name of the charity off the top of my head actually.
No, I say it's some sort of third world country type school
Yes.
and education trying to give back to to the community. Well, not to the community, but to their
Yeah.
community, effectively.
Yes.
But anyway, so you've just had this build where you all went down to Nuneaton
That's right.
this year, sponsored by Festival UK as well. So you got to play with
Yes.
all their nice shiny tools with the, I believe Gordon and Carl were there, weren't they, this year?
Yeah, and Cam from their social
And
media
Cam.
team. Yeah.
But yeah, so what was it that you sort of all built and just, about the weekend and what have you? Because some really
Yeah.
nice
So,
pieces.
it's such a great opportunity to be part of that and to get to use those tools. Like they're tools that I would never get my hands on in that sort of way. So yeah, a real opportunity. The theme this year was to give back to nature. So we were given a pile of wood supplied by Surrey Timbers, um, and were asked to build at least two things that gave back to nature in some way. So it could be bee hotels, bug hotels,
So
uh,
two things within the
anything.
one build, effectively, or two
Yeah,
two
it could.
sections of the build at the very least.
So there wasn't really specific parameters on that. It could be two totally separate items, which one of the teams did. They built a bench and a birdhouse. We ended up actually building three items for ours. We built a bat house, six butterfly hotels, and what was the last thing? Um, it was really interesting actually. It was a really sculptural, um, like bird nesting area that was built to replicate brambles in a woodland, which are a really important part of the ecosystem. People like to get rid of them because they look ugly, but actually they're a really safe space for birds to nest. So we tried to recreate that with a bit of bending.
Exactly. So, because obviously, I mean, you have something. I mean, I know that it's overdue over like 2 days, but it's not. By the time you've done like what you need to do for social media and all everything, you have like 6 or 7 hours on the first day. Probably similar on the second day because you're all hanging out from drinking all night.
I don't know what
Um,
you mean.
so I'm sure. So you only really end up with something like what 10 to 12
Yes.
hours, give or take, type
Yeah.
thing, which isn't a lot of time. And
No, it isn't.
you're effectively you're having to machine the woods because it's totally rough sawn when you get it, isn't it? And
Well,
then,
it wasn't this time, which was
oh
fortunate
right,
because
saved you a lot of
um,
time.
Festool don't do a planer thicknesser, so it needed to
No,
come pre-planed.
ah, so that saved
So,
everyone queuing up. 20 because it's what about 15 of you, give or take, was there something like that?
yeah, we had 13 ambassadors plus guys from Festool and Surrey Timbers.
Yeah, and then obviously the Rubio Monaco staff.
Yes.
But even still, so it's like what say 4 or 5 of you on a team type thing with the help,
Yep.
obviously with off cam and obviously Gordon and what have you helping. Sorry, Carl and Gordon helping out with the tools and what have you. You're not exactly
Yeah.
sure how to use them per se. Um,
Exactly.
but then to produce, I mean, obviously go check out Ruby Monaco's social media because you can see the build that these guys did. And like,
Yeah.
but say you're taking a rough sawn item, you're making it into and getting finish on it in the same 12 hours. I mean, that's
Yeah.
only going to help people that, clients think, oh, we can all make something in 15 hours now. I mean, you're just killing us.
I don't know. You see the what goes into the attempts to try and shortcut. They all came out really well this year, but there was we tried various things like some 90-second epoxy to try and get things to dry quicker. We just went back to the wood glue. The epoxy does not work.
No.
It just doesn't go off. So yeah, luckily we had some pretty fast setting tight bond, and that made it okay. We were able to sort of unclamp things after an hour and a half to 2 hours, and they were holding up. Obviously,
Yeah.
better overnight, but yeah.
But I say your brambles, so sorry, because obviously,
Mm.
I like flitting between things and what have you, because it's how my brain fires like. But your brambles, so you tell us how you did it, because obviously, so go and check it out the pictures. It was amazing what they did. And I
Yeah,
saw how they did their spending, in fact, on Jason's stories on his Instagram page, again, which will be linked in the description. But
mm.
it was ingenious. I was like, that is thinking outside the box.
So yeah, we had what did we have? Some European oak and some sapele, which I cut down into really thin strips to try and get a bit of a bend in, but without any kind of help, it's not going to hold its bend. And we didn't have any capability to steam bend, but we're on an industrial estate, so I thought I must be able to find a puddle or something somewhere. So I went for a wander around the industrial estate, and round the back of the Rubio headquarters, I found this battered old blue bathtub bucket thing that was full of rainwater. So we just I chucked all the strips I'd cut into that and sunk them down, left them there for 3 or 4 hours, and then pulled them out, and they were lovely and bendy. The sapele bent a lot better than the oak,
Yeah.
so a much tighter grain, so it coped with that bend better.
So that's what I was going to say about, especially because, like they say about bending beech and stuff, it's all to do with the grain, isn't it? And about how close it is. And
Yeah.
I never understand grains.
No, I'm not. Wood is. I love wood, but I don't know much about it. But no, we found that the oak, you would get to a certain point and it would just ping like spaghetti, even though it was soaked. I think with an overnight steaming, it might have been different, but I
So
think
allow it to penetrate into the deeper grain, even if it's still thin strips.
that's
The
it. And I
pore,
think
there's
the
like lots
heat
of
helps.
pores. Yeah. Well, I'm
Yeah,
guessing the pores, I suppose, would be like same if you have a hot bath or something like that. All your pores open up, don't they? And that's where you get like prune fingers and all that sort of thing, because it
exactly.
allows more moisture to get into the. That mug you've got is great, by the way. So he's got this like Lego mug. So it's like a head of a Lego character with a tongue sticking out the side of it. It's quite cool. And there's just been with my boring logo mug that I had for
Hey,
the
it's
boring one.
logoed. You got to represent.
No, I should really use a podcast one that I did, shouldn't I, really, for the podcast, but there you go. It's whatever comes out the cupboard first in the morning, to be
Mm.
fair. Yeah, so the other thing is that you did it last year, and I got involved in doing a video for you, but obviously this year I'm a little bit handicapped, should we say,
Yes.
in more ways than I am normally, to be fair. And obviously, I've got to get out there before someone else does. But yeah, so last year, it's another thing. I don't know what it is about either your little garage woodshop, I always call it workshop, always have done. I don't know why. I just have that in
Everyone
my head.
does.
And then last year you did your challenge, and I made a comical planter,
Mm.
and I got the hashtag wrong virtually 99% of the time because they always do. It's something about your hashtags, and I just get them wrong. But you ran this challenge anyway, and it's about getting people involved on social media to do stuff. But I believe that there's something very, very
Something in the
imminent in the next
works.
couple of days.
Yes, absolutely. So, yeah, it will be starting next Tuesday. I've not really spoken about it on my socials yet, but planning to sort of begin the lead into it over the next day or so.
So you might hear this
So,
here first because this will be going out 9 o'clock Saturday morning.
well, there you go. There you go. So
But yeah, go
on
on.
Tuesday, the 16th of January, I'll be launching my third annual New Year build off to try and nothing happens much in January. So I thought 3 years ago, I decided to put a challenge together that would get people out into their workshops and just have a bit of fun building together and see what people create. And the theme this year, well, the hashtag this year is "Would you care for a chair?" with
Would you
wood
care
as
for a
in
share?
a piece of wood. Uh, and the idea of the challenge is going to be for people to build something to sit on. So whether that's a chair, a stool, a bench, a chaise lounge, whatever you like, really. I just want to see what people come up with and what people create. Because I know past years we've had some incredible designs. So your Kumiko box last year, the winner was Mateus from Moustache Woodworks
Yeah, the
with
Stash Wood,
his
yeah.
spider
It was
sculpture.
amazing, that was.
Oh, it blew my mind. Like that guy has some talent, and he actually won it in the first year as well. So this year he's coming
So,
in as a judge. He's not
have
allowed to
you.
win this year.
I was going to say, so basically, everyone don't bother entering Matt's, but because I've had
No.
Matt on the podcast in the past, go and check out his episode. But yeah, he's also a friend of ours, and he's insanely talented, isn't he, Matt, with his.
Oh, his mind works in ways that it shouldn't, but I'm so glad it does.
Yeah. Oh, no,
Yeah,
he's. I mean, I've also been very lucky that I don't go into digress, but he's actually sent me plans for some of the items he's done on his YouTube channel, so
yeah,
I can replicate them myself. And of course, I can take no credit for it because I didn't think of them. But there
no.
you go. But yeah, so your challenge. So it's would you like?
Would you care for a chair?
Would you care for a chair? And I will try and get that right in the description.
Yeah,
I will fail at that also. But so it's anything to sit. It's not necessarily a chair because the thing is with chairs, it's one
they're
thing that
hard.
quite a lot of people get scared of because they are notoriously hard as a joiner to make.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm quite a little bit annoyed because the thing is, I've got a lovely pile, as you actually know, Jake, because obviously I've known about this challenge for several months.
Yeah.
And I had planned to make a full set of dining chairs as part of this challenge because I've already made the table and I've got the pile of timber in my lounge still to make the chairs.
Yeah.
But obviously I've not been able to do it. So, and I haven't got time to make 4 chairs. It's like three months worth of work. But
Your own projects always go down the line.
yeah, I just haven't got time. But yeah, they definitely need to be made this year because I think having a stack of beech in my lounge for 2 years is long enough now.
People start to complain.
Yeah, just a little bit. Like, the entire lounge is full of. Well, you've seen it; it's just full of beech.
Mm.
But anyway, so anything to sit on. So it could be like a workshop stool.
Yes, that'd be great.
A worksite box that could be a toolbox that turns into a. To be fair, the chair that I'm sat on is actually 3 festival sustainers with a cushion on the top because I haven't got enough room to store all my sustainers behind me.
I'm not counting that one. It's not made of wood.
No, but the one I'm making is going to be made out of wood. That's on the list for this year. But yeah, so anything you can sit on effectively in any form.
That's it. As long as it functions as a seat, then it's in. And one thing I wouldn't mind seeing is restoration as well. It doesn't always have to be new. So I'm currently working on a bench from my local church, which is 65 years old and had lasted long enough, but over the last 2 years it's rotted through in a lot of places. And I'm doing a lot of wood grafts and things on that. So things like that, I think is great because there's so much work and beauty that goes into bringing out that old and bringing it back to refreshed and new. So yeah, if people want to restore, build, create, whatever they want to do, as long as the primary function is something to sit on.
So I mean, so you're not strict on all the slightest, are you? You're not the rules per se. As you say, it's just a case of giving that sort of wider scope to someone to be creative, get involved.
That's it.
Because you've also got you obviously got board of judges, haven't you? As you say.
Yeah.
Thankfully, Matt's going to be on it, so everyone has actually got a chance this year. Because you know what I mean. I mean, as soon as I saw Matt, I actually got sneak peeks of Matt's last year as well before it was finished, and I was like, oh, mate, I mean, I didn't enter per se, but anyway. But I was like, yeah, I may as well just pull the entry now because I've seen Matt's. You know what I mean? It's like game over, man. So you've got a board of judges, and you've also got some prizes.
Yes, we have.
Of course.
So we've got quite a few of them confirmed. There's one I'm waiting on. I was hoping to have it sorted for this podcast, but it's likely to be the end of the week now. But it's coming. But confirmed, we have woodwork supply. Even a wood repair gun, which I know you've got one of those, haven't you, Paul?
Super, really,
fantastic
really
bit of kit.
Yeah.
Like I use mine a lot. I actually need to get myself some new sticks. But
I need to use mine more because I've got plans to do projects with it this year, but I've used it a little bit.
Yeah.
Because Wayne very kindly sent me one last year, I think it was, and I've only used it a tiny bit. And you know what? It's phenomenal. It really is phenomenal.
It's one of those bits of kit you won't use it every week, but when you need it and when you use it, you'll be so glad you've got it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I've got 2 of the guns because I had the basic gun, and I was using silver sticks in it, which you're not supposed to do, because they have a lower melting temperature because of the metal filings. So you have to use them in the larger gun, which has a temperature control on it.
That's the pro gun into the larger gun. It's the pro kit, effectively. The green gun into the standard.
That's it.
It's super. It's enormous. It's like a proper. It's like it looks like a transformer or something, doesn't it? You know what I mean? It's a good bit of kit.
But I've used that silver to fill knots in serving boards and things, and it comes out beautiful because it all swirls into itself, all the metal filings. Really nice. So that's one of the prizes. O3 Adhesives are putting in one of their full kits of their entire range.
Okay, and absolutely love that as well. That stuff.
Yeah, that I got through. We got through quite a lot of that at the ambassadors event last week. So
I've got my little shelf of it there. Look,
somewhere there. Oh yeah, I see it.
Just there. Yeah, fabulous glue. I mean, I was never convinced about the difference of super glues. And I bought one on a whim a while ago, a couple of years ago again now. I just bought it. I didn't know Wayne at all at the time myself. And I bought one. Is it going to be worth this? He said, "Oh, I promise you." and I tried it. The difference in super glues is unreal. I'm never
It
going to
is.
go back. It's something. I mean, 20 years as a joiner, and I never
Yeah.
understood there was difference in super glues.
I think
It's
for me,
amazing.
it's a lot of them when you do the accelerator, they shrink and frost,
Yeah,
whereas this one doesn't at all.
no,
It stays where you've put it. And obviously you've got the thin, the medium, and the thick, and the black thick.
very
Uh,
handy.
the medium and the thick I use constantly. I think the
Yes.
thin is probably a bit too thin for most of my uses, but if you're a wood turner and you want to put a glue finish on
Yeah, because they
something,
do like a
it's
glazed
perfect.
coat sometimes, don't they? With
Yeah,
the, I must
really
admit,
good for pens.
I don't use the thin a lot myself because when I have used it, I have poured half the bottle on my hand and stuck my hand to something.
Oh yeah, every time,
And
without a doubt.
this glue is not like normal super glue. You wait for a minute or two and you pull your fingers apart. Your fingers are stuck. You're getting a blade out to cut your fingers apart, and it hurts. So
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
that's
we've
So
been there.
we've got the Woodcraft and the O3 adhesives,
Yeah, and
which
then
is both superb kit, obviously.
we've got a £250 mystery box from Rubio.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and from Lumberjack Tools, we've got a dust extractor as well, on the floor ones, the sort of bin ones.
Is that the one that sort of looks like like a Henry Hoover on steroids almost?
Yes, yeah, that's the one. Let me
That
find out what
sort of
it's
one, yeah.
called. I'll pull it up. But yeah, so they very kindly donated that as well.
That's a nice tool for like the certainly. I mean, it's not so much for like the professional side, I don't think, but for your sort of general workshop, hobbyist workshop, and that sort of thing. I mean, it's meant to be pretty good, isn't it? From what I've heard,
Yeah, so I think it's their 50-litre one that we've got. Yeah, I think that's the one.
that's
And
quite a good size, really. 50 litres is quite big comparison for a shop vac, isn't it?
yeah,
For
exactly
your
that.
hobbyists, for sure.
And the thing I was really pleased about having that is, I know, especially for me as a hobbyist, when I've got a bit of money to spend on a tool, I don't want to buy a dust extractor. I want to buy a saw, but I so need that dust extractor. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want the shiny tool, but actually the thing I need the most to save my lungs is is this dust extractor. I do have one, thankfully, but I know it was one of the last things on my list as I went down, really, and it should have been right at the top because it's so important.
Unfortunately, it is. I mean, you can just see there. I've got an air filter on the ceiling. I've
Yes,
only had that a couple of years. The
you're seeing the difference.
difference in that, mate, is phenomenal. The amount of dust. I mean, obviously, I can't have it on when I'm filming because of noise.
Yeah,
But if I'm not, even when I'm sanding, so my sanders are obviously hooked up to the Festool extractor, which gets 96 to 98% of all dust. The amount of
yeah,
dust that thing picks up, mate, is unreal.
yeah.
I I honestly recommend everyone gets like an air filtration unit for the workshop, wood shop, wherever you are. And obviously, that's only a small record one. I
Yeah.
think I paid about 120 quid for it, type thing. Not
Yeah, for the
expensive.
sake of your lungs, it's nothing, is it?
It's nothing. No, not at all.
No. So yeah, that's what's confirmed so far, and there's one other which I will hopefully have confirmed by Friday, which I'm pleased about because yeah, it's someone that doesn't normally do prizes.
That's absolutely
So
fine. But say, obviously, what you can do is in a couple of hours' time, you can jump onto Jason's social media page because by now you would have already clicked over to Instagram and liked and followed his page, whatever it is on Instagram.
yeah,
There will obviously be posts of everything and all the correct information because obviously I'm going to get it wrong, as we know full well.
yeah. So obviously when this comes out on Saturday, this is a sneak preview because I won't have actually launched the challenge officially until Tuesday. I think it's going to be 7 p.m. I'm going to do a launch video, which I need to get on and actually make.
You got a couple of days though, so you're doing all right. So the challenge
Absolutely.
is running for what? Is it 2 months you run the
It's two
challenge for?
months, yeah. 16th of January, which is it's National Nothing Day because no one's got anything to do. So let's do something. Let's make a chair. And I normally run the challenge for 2 months, which would be to the 16th of March, which is a Saturday. So gives you that last weekend. I'll probably have a bit of flexibility and allow things on the Sunday as well. But
Yeah, well, I mean that's it because you give quite a generous time because obviously
it's a big
it
build.
is aimed at the hobbyists as
Mm,
well and the person that's only got a few hours here and there. It's not aimed at the person that can go out and bang out 40 hours a week on this project for 2 months straight.
That's
it's
it.
not. It's not aimed. Of course, if you're professional, join in, have some fun, get posting, you get cross posting, and that's the thing about with the social media. It's the community, and then from that,
100%.
I mean, to be honest, it was actually your challenge last year. How I started speaking to Woodcraft off the back of that, pretty much, and it was
Yeah.
just by that sort of networking that you have. It opens up doors for people. So
Yeah.
get involved with other people's pages, get
That's it.
involved also with the other entrants. Give them a follow. It helps everyone out, doesn't it?
That's it. I came on Instagram, because I wanted to find out more about woodworking and see what people were doing. Like, I love the Instagram community for woodworking. I know in other areas social media can be quite toxic, but I personally haven't had any of that. I found it a really positive environment, and I wanted to sort of create something within that at a quiet time of year that people can get involved and sort of create that small community around it as well.
I mean,
So yeah, it
I
is,
mean, with
I
the, I
love it.
mean, the prizes. It's probably what about 800 quid's worth of prizes at the minute, type thing, give or take. So
Yeah, I
it's,
think
you're not talking about 20, 30 quid. I mean, I think the Woodcraft kit's about 300 quid, is it not, give or take? Something around that. It's
I think this
it's
is
over
about
200.
160. The
I
wood
think that's
repair
the
kit.
good. I thought it was good only though.
I think it's the basic kit. It's
It's
just
the basic kit, it's not the pro kit.
yeah, it's basic
Oh,
kit.
sorry.
This one.
So it'll be the basic kit. Sorry, I
Yeah.
thought it was. I just sort of like jumped and thought it was the pro kit type thing. I don't know why. But
No.
even
Well, now
still,
you've said it, maybe he'll have to give that.
yeah. Sorry, Wayne.
No.
Take out the
Yeah.
commission for this year.
And the glues, they're normally on offer at £40. I think they're
Yeah,
about
about
£50 normally.
40 to 50 quid, depending on if he's got a set. As you say, if you wait for the sale for the O3, you get the 4 super glues and the accelerator.
And the
And you get these
tips.
fine nozzle.
The
Fine
tips are
nozzle
great.
tips, brilliant, aren't they?
If you've got microfine cracks, they're game
They're
changing.
very handy. So you get all them in a really fancy box. He spends too much on his packaging. And they're what? It's to say the 40 quid on sale and 50 quid when not on sale.
Yeah,
But
I think
you know
that's
what?
about
Even
right.
at 50 quid, I think they're worth it.
Yeah, and if you're just using the thick, just buy a bottle of thick for £8.
So that's it as well, because you don't have to use accelerator spray in any sense with super glues.
No.
It's just for the lazy arses like us that want something to set quickly.
Yeah.
Well, you can use super glue as a clamp. I use it as a clamp, temporary clamp, quite a lot.
I used it
CNC,
as plasters
I use
last
it
week.
all the time for sticking things down on the CNC.
Yeah.
I
put a chisel into my hand at the Rubio event, so that was a bit of O3A, sorted that out.
Yeah, I've used it an awful lot on the cuts over the slice your finger. I know what I've got. You hold it for it, burst open, get over the super glue accelerator.
Done.
It's not going to pee out everywhere now.
Stings like hell, but yeah, it works.
But so you've got
I did actually miss a prize, didn't I?
Yeah,
I did.
that
was very rude of me.
I never even got onto that either.
So the final prize is very, very kindly being donated by JCR Builds, which is £50 to spend on your 3D printed items from your website, isn't it?
Any 3D items on the website.
I definitely need to get on there because I want the mount for my sander. I think that's a cracking idea. Otherwise, it just sits on a shelf gathering dust.
Yeah,
Everything gathers dust in the workshop, doesn't it? But,
so yeah, it's. I mean, it's sort of stuff. I've been 3D printing for a long time. I mean, 3D printing actually comes up on this podcast quite a lot as well, actually, just as a general topic, because it's. I mean, the guest I had on a couple of days ago that's going out next week, because you stole his highlight spots, was DIY Dave, and he's a big 3D printer enthusiast from over in New York. And it's becoming very much part of our workshop environment these days, I feel. And that's why I started making stuff years ago. But it's only just been recently I've sort of like, well, I suppose I could, I may as well just solo it. I mean, I had a big stack of orders go out from the weekend because
I saw it, yeah.
Yeah, I literally threw out, 3 stories on Instagram, I think, 3 or 4 stories on Instagram. And there was 300 quid's worth of sales there.
Yeah, it's nice to see that, because a lot of people say Instagram's dead, and it's really hard to grow your following on Instagram now.
It's very hard.
But actually, from what you've said there, things do work. 'Cause it's about having the right people follow you. It doesn't really matter how many. You just got to have the
No,
people that actually want to see
yeah,
it.
it is very much because I mean that's why I stopped. I mean, one of the most stupid things I did, and I only found out in hindsight, was when I did like the glue peel thing. Brilliant, 5 million views, fuckload of followers.
Yeah.
Not the followers I need because they
No,
weren't engaging with
exactly.
me and stuff after. So my retention rate and everything it just shot down, and it was
Yeah.
awful. So I mean, I've spent like the last 18 months now really building it up and building it up bit by bit. I had a big surge a few months ago of like 800 followers again, but
Yeah.
they're all people that are actually engaging with every post or most
That's
posts.
it. And
So
that's what you need.
my engagement's up to like 3% on Instagram, which is high
Yeah.
for Instagram.
Yeah.
But as you say, as long as you have the right people following you for your content that you make
Yeah.
or whatever you put up there, that's all you need.
Yeah. And
Because
I think for me, I'm surprised anyone follows me. Do you know, I'm on there to be part of that community and get inspiration and chat with people like yourself. And if people want to follow along with me, then I'm absolutely blown away. I mean, I've not got a big following by any stretch, but for me, it's huge. No?
I think, I mean, the thing is, it is one of those things as well, though, that, it's different when, say, someone like yourself that is, as you say, you're a hobbyist. I'm not taking away from the quality of your work because your work's superb. You know what I think of your work.
Hmm.
I'm not saying that, but what I mean is like because of like you're just thinking, well, it's just a hobbyist. It's a total. So you look at the numbers like I've only got. I think mine's is tiny. I've got 6K, and I think it's tiny. But
Yeah.
that's because I'm aiming for a different market within my social media.
Yeah.
So
That's
it's
it. You
very
look at
much don't get hung up on numbers. I don't
no,
think.
and I don't like. I've been hovering around the same numbers for ages, and if it goes up, great. But if it doesn't, great. It does.
I mean, I
It
must
doesn't
admit,
matter.
I was hoping to get 6K by the new year. I was like,
Yeah.
I was only like 20 away. And the thing
Yeah.
is, I must have had in my last week, there must have been a lot of bot follows, which you can't help no matter
Mm,
what you do.
no.
Because as many followers as I got as many unfollows. So
Mm,
I've actually stayed on the same amount from like the 30th of December as I am now. And like,
yeah.
I just want that last little bit.
I think when you're close to a number, that it makes you want it, doesn't it?
Yeah. And
So I think
it's going to make no difference whatsoever. It's another 20 people that, and out of them, only one is going to comment or do something. So like, it makes no difference, as you say. It's having the correct people. And the one thing I do love Instagram for is the networking and nothing else, to be honest.
yeah. So I've made some cracking friends through Instagram. Got yourself Ben from Designs Woodcraft. He's got his workshop just up the hill from me, up on the South Downs, and I messaged him one day and said, "Mind if I pop by?" And I've pretty much dropped in every week since, and I'd get in his way, and I love it. I go and help him on installs and do a bit of stuff to help him out from time to time, and he does his own milling now. I don't know if you know. Um, so he mills timber from the South Downs around his workshop. Most of it comes from within a 5 mile radius of where he's building it.
Yeah.
Um, and I love it. I was fortunate enough last year. I say fortunate. I worked bloody hard, but to go and do a week of milling
Oh, I remember you
for
doing
him.
that. Yeah, because I
And
remember, yeah.
hardest week of work I've ever done, but by far the best. I absolutely loved it. But just to see this tree go into boards that I've now see behind his workshop, and in the next couple of months it's going to be coming into the workshop, and there's going to be a piece of furniture out of it. That sort of circular cycle was just I love all that.
Yeah, I mean, I've been looking forward to doing this year, but because of obviously injuries, it was unable to do it. I
Mm,
was meant to be going down to Jerry at Grantland Timber and doing the same thing. He's got his
yeah,
eye on the sycamore tree. We were going to fell that, film the whole
yeah,
process, obviously, and then I was going to take a slab away that away,
mm,
and then obviously by the time it's dried, make a piece.
yeah,
And it's one thing I see that what's his face, Nick James design.
yeah.
He does that, doesn't he? He goes out onto the estates, he fells the tree, he mills the tree,
That's right.
leaves it however long, because wood drying is how long's a piece of string, effectively, isn't it?
Generally about 2 years for air dry, isn't it?
Yeah, and
18 months, 2 years.
but then he's making it into the furniture that he makes,
Yeah.
which is, I mean, I've commented a few times on Nick's social.
Have you seen his
I hate
story
you, I
chair?
hate you, I hate you right now because his
Is it?
work is just, and I love it when he does this fluting on his drawer fronts
Mm,
as well, the walnut.
Yes.
I've commented on it a couple of times. I could never get bored of seeing that reel again because I know some people, he's one that does it every now and again. He'll
Yeah.
reuse an old clip because you need to.
Yeah.
And I never get bored of seeing that clip. But yeah, Nick is very much I hate you right now on a lot of his things. And
Have you?
people have a go at me, and I'm like, no. Nick,
I mean
Nick
it in a good
knows.
way.
Yeah, Nick knows that I'm not having a go at him. Obviously,
Yeah.
I really like Nick. I think Nick's a great guy.
I was
And
with him last week, and
yeah,
we were chatting about his story chair he's just built, or
mm,
finished recently. Have you seen it?
yeah.
Yeah, it's incredible. And the story behind that, he was commissioned to work with a group of ex-convict women, and they all designed it together, and he built it. So it's to try and encourage storytelling and them to talk about their experiences as sort of almost, I guess, a therapy of sorts. Because
like a rehabilitation type process, isn't
yeah,
it?
because unless we talk about the things that are going on in our mental
Mm,
health and all these things, they don't get better, they fester. And I think it's that message to this chair is to tell your story. So they've told their story through the chair, and it's somewhere they can sit and tell a story. It's
yeah,
really beautiful.
I think one thing that Nick is also quite good at is it's that sort of thing, isn't it? With, I mean, his design process, I don't know what goes in his head because
No,
the stuff he comes out with, it's like, how the fuck did he dream that up? And the
yeah.
thing is,
So
the stuff that he's doing is like, how the fuck did you work out how to make that from your fucked up image in your head?
yeah,
And he likes telling a story through his stuff, doesn't he, as well? He's very good at that, isn't he?
definitely. So that bramble sculpture build
Mm.
was from his mind and
I could
sort of
see that from
came
Nick's. I knew
from.
that.
It was Nick James all over it, wasn't it? Uh,
I knew as soon as I saw that, I was like, that's Nick's idea. I knew full well. There was no
but there is
freestyle.
nothing less random than random.
Yeah,
So to
I
watch
get that.
him take this bent stave and just go around this sculpture for 5 minutes with one stave, just to work out where that goes so that it doesn't look like it's been put there.
Hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does because the thing is, it's like when you're making. I make some like dioramas for me stuff, and you've
Mm,
got to be very careful where you place stuff because if you put something somewhere,
yeah,
it can look like you've purposefully put it there,
yeah,
and it's not part of the piece.
yeah,
And to be part of the piece, you've got to plan where the non-random bit goes into the random spot.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
you know what I mean. It
yeah,
doesn't make sense, but it makes perfect sense if you try to do it.
yeah. And like I say, nothing less random than random. I was
Yeah,
standing there with the O3A and the spray. Can I glue it now? Please, can I
yeah,
glue it now? It's like, no, I just need to move it again. And yeah,
yeah.
his process is
His
fascinating.
his stuff that he does is. I don't know where he comes up with these ideas. I think he took some sort of weird. I think he takes all
Yeah.
the mushrooms when he's out felling trees. To be honest, do you know what
Well,
I mean?
I think he spends so much time in the woodland that really leads his mind and his
Mm.
design. Like,
Well, again, it's one of those things that yeah, we've all got our creative sides. Don't get me wrong, because obviously we need that to make what we make. But I wouldn't say I was a creative person. You see,
mm,
I'll make whatever, but I can't. If he gave me that idea and like drew me a scribble,
yeah,
I'd then be able to think about how I could do that. But I wouldn't
yeah,
come up with that concept because I'd be thinking about how do I build something
yeah. It's a structured
first.
joint, and yeah,
Yeah. So as he sort of like thinks, I want to make this scribble, and then he works it out.
yeah,
I have an idea, and I think, well, I can't make that because I need to do that, and
yeah.
I don't have that creative flow to get that sort of artistic side in because he's quite arty as well, isn't he?
Oh, very
I'd
much so.
say. Do
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah,
mean? He's yeah, no, I do really like making it. I think it was the conversation I had with him. It was very interesting.
yeah,
Um, and
yeah,
yeah, yeah, I just really rate him to be honest. I think he's
yeah.
superb.
No, I was lucky. I had a very good team around me on my build. So I had Nick and I had Lauren, Wood's My Thing, who won Britain's Best Woodworker.
Oh yes,
Not the one just gone, the one before.
the one, yeah, the
She
previous, yeah.
she's one of life's good people. She's just lovely. And also had Will Head from WH Creations, who does all
Oh,
the
W,
barrel
yeah,
stave art, and
yeah,
yeah, really nice stuff. And that I
cool.
didn't realise he actually lives quite close to me, so he's gonna come down to
Oh,
Ben's workshop at some point too.
all right. That's funny, after all this time you've known him as well, that you
Yeah,
didn't realise you sort of like round the corner from each other.
yeah, he's probably 25 minutes away, so you know,
It's not that, mate. I mean, it's one of those things. Again, it sounds like it's far away, for a lot of things, but like I live in a city, so
yeah,
everywhere's 20 minutes to 30 minutes away, regardless of
yeah,
I go down the road, it's 20 minutes. Whereas where I used to live, I won't go 20 minutes for a brew. I wouldn't do it. But
No.
now that's the normal in the city. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. So as normal, all links will be in the description. I'll make sure I leave Jason's correct links and hashtags in the description. And that will be after he's told me to correct him. I've gone back into Buzzsprout and changed the hashtags.
Absolutely.
Again, all links. Please go leave me a review. Spotify, Apple Music, wherever it is you listen. Thank you very much for taking the time out, Jason, to join us on the podcast at long last.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
So, and I still expect you to download and listen to this episode, please, because I need the figures. Anything last to say before we wrap it up for now?
I think just look out for the launch video on Tuesday and get involved. As more people we can have building, the better. It doesn't matter whether you're a beginner or an expert. It's not necessarily about the most finessed and best chair. It's the person that's challenged themselves, the person that's gone outside their comfort zone, been really creative. Just get involved.
Yeah,
It doesn't matter who
absolutely.
wins.
No, it's a bit of fun. I mean, the good thing is, as we know, Matt's not winning, so everyone's happy. Okay, thanks very much, everybody, and we'll see you next month. But we'll hear you next week. Thanks now.